Time now for a check on the weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. And he joins us again this week from his remote weather office. Al, we're preparing to wrap up another month. What are we seeing in the forecast?
Well, Troy, we actually are getting toward the end of the month, and this last week has been a very welcome relief from the very cold weather that we received here in the middle of the month. And in fact, soil conditions have been more perfect in the last couple of years, as we've seen here most of southern Nebraska, where we have been a little bit drier than normal, both in the short and a little bit in the medium term. So kind of look as at a benefit when you consider to the east of us, they're going to be dealing with a lot of precipitation over the next few days. And here in the central United States, we are looking at very optimistic planting weather, at least going forward for the next 10 days before we start to look at a more sustainable active pattern going into the first full weekend of May. So as we look at today's forecast, as you can see from this morning's models, the upper air pattern indicates a large broad trough over the eastern Corn Belt. This was response to the system moved through the state late in the week, is deepened over the Great Lakes, bringing cold air into the region. Low pressure at the surface in southern Ohio, bringing a lot of moisture from the Gulf up into the region. It's going to considerably halt planting issues there for a few days as we have some very cold weather. In our region, we're basically looking at ridging patterns starting to develop this weekend and building into our region, bringing warmer temperatures as the weekend progresses. And we'll see low pressure surface development in western portions of the state, but there's really no moisture for it to work with, maybe a few clouds. And then we kind of flatten the flow out, kind of west-northwest flow, give us some downsloping winds on Monday from the west. That should be some very nice conditions across the state. We'll be well into the 70s statewide. There is just an outside chance for a few showers to pop up from the central and eastern Nebraska. Don't think it's going to be anything major or cause any problems. But more importantly, on Tuesday, we do see a big ridge developing to the west and energy coming down the front side of that ridge. That will give us a shot of showers statewide. The question is how much of that moisture, as the main emphasis of the heavier precipitation, stays to our north, but does give us a chance of showers. And on Wednesday, we start to see that ridge building in, the trough deepening over the east, big low pressure over Lake Ontario is going to give very wet, cool weather once again to the eastern Corn Belt, heavy precipitation from the southeast up into the east. You can see that we're high and dry here in the Central Plains, and we really start to warm up on Thursday as a big ridge builds into the southwestern United States and moves that ridge up toward the northern plains. Even though low pressure is shown to develop in southwestern portions of Nebraska, there's just really no moisture to work with. So mostly showing showers down in Texas. We start to see some of that ridging being deep down a little bit as a trough comes in the western United States. So maybe a little bit cooler as we get to the later part of next week. And one piece of energy coming out into western portions of Kansas may touch off a few showers. But more importantly, as we get into next weekend, we might see that trough moving ever so closely to us. And if it does, then we'll start an increase in precipitation. The next 8 to 14 day forecast from next Tuesday, the following Tuesday, does keep the warm air in the United States and the cold air locked firmly into the northeast. So it's very favorable, at least in terms of soil temperatures not getting too cold. And in terms of precipitation, although there's a dry forecast, I would caution you that as we get into the first full weekend of May, there are increasing signs that we will start to see energy coming out into the central United States, increasing our chances for precipitation. So Troy, overall, it looks like we are going to see a very favorable outlook in terms of planting. Now, the biggest issue will be precipitation going forward. There are numerous chances, but there is just no overall broad-scale heavy precipitation forecasted for the next 10 days. I expect to see a lot of planting going on, so everybody keep safe out there, and we'll see you next week.